If you're planning to buy a home in Phoenix, stop and watch this first, because there are questions you need to ask, and not the typical ones like how many bedrooms, but that critical Phoenix-specific questions that can make or break your happiness long-term here. Today, I'm sharing the 9 questions that you must ask before you buy in Phoenix, plus one powerful one that could save you thousands of dollars. Let's jump in. Question 1, which direction does the backyard face? Here in Phoenix, sun exposure is everything, especially in the summer. If your backyard faces west, that amazing outdoor patio and entertaining area that you are so excited about is going to feel like an oven, and you will likely not use it very often. And this isn't just in the summertime. Yes, the summer will be worse, but even during other times of the year, that western exposure can feel really intense. And it's not much fun to sit outside with the sun just beating down on you with no relief, especially if all you're wanting to do is relax and enjoy your backyard. Now, if your backyard is facing north, during the wintertime, it can get a little shady and, dare I say it, a little cold. Now, this is usually only if your backyard is not very deep, because your house is now casting a shadow on almost your entire backyard. Some of the best exposure is south-facing backyards, because during the wintertime, you're getting the most sun when you want it, and during the summertime, when the sun moves in the sky, you're actually getting more shade in your backyard. So you won't get as much direct sunlight, and it's a lot more comfortable. It is still going to be hot. You just are not gonna have that direct sun exposure like a west-facing backyard would. Now, I have had buyers that have fallen in love with the house, and the backyard faces west. We've talked at length about all the pros and cons of having a western-facing backyard, and just how intense that heat is gonna be in the summertime, and all the ways they could possibly mitigate that with shade screens and window tinting, as well as going back to the house in the afternoon so they can experience the difference in how the sun hits the house and the backyard. And after all of that, I've had some clients that decide that is an absolute deal breaker, the western exposure. And I've had others that are still in love with the house and decide to move forward. As long as you know what you're getting into, that's the important part. Question 2, how old is the AC and is it properly sized for the house? Phoenix summers are no joke, and your air conditioner is the single most important system in your house. If it is underperforming or on its last leg, you are in for a rough summer. I can tell you that one of our ACs stopped working last summer, and it was on the bedroom side of our house. And although we had another air conditioning unit that could help cool the house, it was brutal until we got it fixed. Now, with some of the older homes built in like the 70s or later, these homes really need to be checked to make sure that the air conditioning units are actually the proper size. I have started to see more and more homes with mini splits added onto some rooms that maybe were an addition to the home. This is something that tells me we need to start asking more questions. Is there additional ducting that runs into that room? How is the airflow? And what size are the units? You will also find that some homes have ACs that are 20 to 25 years old. Now, they might still be fully functioning, but it is only a matter of time until they stop functioning. Just as an aside, air conditioning units that are properly maintained can last that long, but they are starting to reach the end of their life, so it's something you need to be aware of. And when you start to think about replacement costs for these, you're gonna range anywhere from about $8,000 to $15,000 or more per unit, depending on the size. Now, when you're under contract on a home, the inspector will test all of this for you, and they will tell you the size of the air conditioning units as well as the age. And it's always good to know what type of servicing the owners have done over the years that they've owned the home. Question 3, what are the real costs for the utilities year-round? If you are concerned about what the utility costs are for the home, it is important to ask the seller to provide you documentation to see what the utility costs actually are. But here's the thing, don't get the averages. I would ask for the actual monthly cost so you can see how the bill fluctuates. The only tricky thing here is if the current owner is on an equalizer plan, because this is going to kind of make the bill the same all throughout the year, so you're not gonna see those big fluctuations. Now, you too can sign up for this once you buy the home, but just like every other utility cost, it's not always going to be the same for you compared to what current owner has, because maybe you like the home cooler or maybe you like it warmer. So the cost will change, but it will give you a very good idea. Now, another few things that will help you with overall energy savings are dual pane windows, which most homes around here have, unless they are older. So it's always good to just double check that. You can also get shade screens. Now, this is really helpful for those windows that get a lot of sun. But if you like a home that gets a lot of bright light in it, this is something to note, because those shade screens are going to block block a lot of that light coming in through that window. The smart thermostats can also help because they can automatically change the temperature in the house based on what peak and off-peak times are. Another thing that can really help is extra attic insulation. This helps because the attics hold a lot of heat here, and a lot of our homes don't have attic fans to blow that heat out. Question 4, is the home in a flood zone or near a wash? Now, once you start looking around the Phoenix Scottsdale area, you're going to start noticing that some homes back some open space. And those homes often have view fencing, which is nice because that makes your backyard feel like it's actually bigger than it is. But here's the thing about that. Sometimes what's behind your house can be a wash, and sometimes FEMA has deemed those washes a flood zone. Now, I want to make this clear. Not every home that backs open space or even a wash is in a flood zone automatically. And that's not the only way to tell if you're in a flood zone. In fact, there's a neighborhood in Scottsdale, a couple neighborhoods actually, that are flat as can be, and the homes are not necessarily backing a wash or any open space, and all of the homes within those neighborhoods are considered in a flood zone, and you would never know that just by looking at them. The thing is that Phoenix can and sometimes does get really intense monsoon storms in the summertime, and if your home is near a low-lying area or a flood zone, flooding can happen, and flood insurance is required for anyone that is in a flood zone getting a mortgage, and that flood insurance can cost thousands of dollars a year. So it's important to make sure you know if the house is in a flood zone or not so that you are prepared for that additional bill for that flood insurance. And the question that I get all the time is, do I know of any homes that are in a flood zone that have actually flooded? And the real answer is no, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. Question 5, what's the HOA situation? What are the rules, the fees, and restrictions? HOAs are extremely common in Phoenix, and they can vary a lot. Some are just $65 a month and maintain landscaping. Others can be $400+ a month, especially if they are in a luxury area or an amenity-heavy community. But here's the catch. It is not just about the fees. HOAs can restrict rental options, exterior paint colors, even the plants that you are able to put in your yard, both front and back. Now, when you are under contract on the house, the title company will order all of these documents to be sent to you so that you can review them. You will get copies of the CC&Rs, the bylaws, the financials, as well as the fee structure. It's important to review these so you know how the HOA is run, as well as all the rules and restrictions that you're going to have to follow. Like, can you park in the street overnight? Another big one is to see if there are any special assessments coming. Now, this is something that the seller is supposed to disclose to you, but sometimes they don't know it because they haven't read their documents. So this is also something the HOA will disclose when they send all the fees. Question 6, can I add a pool later? Is the lot suitable? When you're out looking for your dream home, you might find it, and it might not have a pool. And when that happens, the question always comes up, can I add a pool later? And the answer is, well, we have to look at a few things first. Because things like utility easements, setbacks, or even rules within the HOA could restrict you from putting a pool in. Now, there are a couple things you should confirm before you buy the house if a pool is a must for you. Does the yard have enough space? Are there any easements or drainage restrictions? And make sure your HOA or your city allows a pool to be built there. And one of the best ways to get some of these answers is to actually have a pool contractor come out during your inspection period and give you an estimate. Now, a couple things I tell every client that is thinking about going this direction. Number 1, if the pool builder gives you a quote and says to you, this is going to be an additional fee if it's a hard dig, just count that it's going to be a hard dig. I don't know anybody that's put in a pool and the pool builder came back and said, guess what? Wasn't a hard dig. Every one of them have had a hard dig. What does that mean? It means we have a lot of granite and caliche in our soil, so it's more difficult to dig the pool as a whole. So the likelihood is it will be a hard dig. And number 2, do not put in a pool if you are not planning on staying in that home for at least 7 years. You will not get your money back out of it. Number 7, what are the surrounding homes like? Your home is only as peaceful as its neighbors. Are there short-term rentals or Airbnbs nearby? This is something you can only find out if you're talking to the neighbors because there's no database for you to go look in to see how many Airbnbs are within a 1-mile radius of the house. Are you next to open land that could turn into apartments? Now, if your home is not in an HOA, what do the neighboring homes look like? Do they have multiple cars parked in their driveway, an RV or a boat parked in the street? Because again, if you're not in an HOA, there's nothing that you can do about that. And some might not mind it, where others think it might be an eyesore. I think it's a good idea for you to drive around the neighborhood at different times of the day. See what's going on within the neighborhood. And if you see a neighbor, talk to them. They are going to give you the best information that you could possibly get about what it's like to actually live there. Question 8, what is the neighborhood like in the summertime? Phoenix has two personalities. Busy and social in the wintertime when everyone's here and there's a ton of events going on, or quiet and indoor focused in the summer when it's 115 degrees outside. You might love how the neighborhood feels when everyone's here and it's buzzing with activity, but that might be very different in the summertime. And you could feel like you're a little alone or isolated. It can definitely feel that way in some neighborhoods more than others, so it's important to know which those are, especially if that's something that's important to you. A couple things to ask when it comes to this specifically: are some of the local businesses open year-round? If you're in a golf community, you'll want to know, does the course have different hours? And is the clubhouse open year-round? Now, here's the one that could save you thousands. Is solar worth it on this home? Solar seems like an absolute no-brainer in the desert. I mean, we have like 300 days of sunshine, but it's not always that simple. You will need to know if the system is owned or leased. And if it is leased, how much longer on that lease and what are the payments? Also, I always want to know what the payoff is. Does the solar system cover the entire electric bill? And if not, what are the utility bills on top of the lease payment if it's a lease? Was the roof replaced before the solar system went on the roof? And is there still a warranty for your roof? See, leased solar system make reselling your home much harder, especially if the buyer doesn't want to assume the lease, or if they can't assume the lease. See, those lease payments become part of your debt-to-income ratio when you're qualifying for a loan. And sometimes that solar lease can push people right outside the limit that's allowable to actually qualify for the house. I've seen solar systems blow up more deals than I care to think about. And I have to be honest with you, solar panels really do not add that much value to your home. Now, if you'd like to see why people regret moving to Phoenix, you're gonna wanna watch this video. As always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.